Hello again. The thumbnail to this video shows an incredible sight. A ship belonging to Britain's border force, the arm of the state charged with protecting the country from incursion, is shown bringing 150 illegal immigrants into the harbour at Dover. Yes, that's right. The ship, which should be patrolling and keeping out people who have no business entering Britain, is sailing around in international waters collecting various waifs and strays and bringing them to Britain. But there, perhaps these are shipwrecked families or something. Poor bedraggled women and children who, through no fault of their own, have ended up in need of rescue. Well, no, not a bit of it. In the first place, hardly any of these people are women and children or old and helpless victims of ill fortune. Most of them are healthy young men. They've deliberately embarked upon hazardous crossings on one of the busiest sea lanes in the world in small and inadequate vessels. They then just drift in the middle of the English Channel until a British lifeboat or ship of the border force collects them and takes them ashore where free accommodation and regular cooked meals await them. In the United States, an endless column of similar types wends its way through Mexico and besieges the American border. All these people know very well that they have no right to expect entry to either Britain or America, but feel that it's worth taking a chance. They set up shanty towns in France and Mexico, waiting for an opportunity to sneak across the border. You might think that once in Britain, such people would be grateful for any help and support which they received, but they are anything but. So many have been arriving in recent months that the government have been housing them in an old army barracks. You might think they'd be a bit grateful for this. After all, they've been living in dreadful conditions in France, living in makeshift shelters and tents. 6 of the illegal immigrants were so angry at not being given proper houses that they sued the government recently in the High Court and have now been awarded damages for being made to live in such substandard conditions. I might mention that the Napier barracks at Folkestone were good enough for British soldiers, but not, apparently, for the young foreigners who are now staying there. The High Court has ruled that they are entitled to a better standard of living than that. So almost as soon as they have landed in Britain, these people are suing the British government because they haven't been given council houses quick enough. I'm not sure when the rules about entering countries illegally changed so dramatically. I won't say that I've not made the odd foray across a border without troubling with the usual formalities myself long ago, but I was never under any illusions about the consequences should I have been detected. It would have involved being chucked straight out the country and possibly a spell first in prison. I honestly don't understand why things are so different now. The many young men who are now flooding into Britain, and most of them are young men, are not fleeing anything. They're not refugees in any proper meaning of the word. They are instead drawn to Britain because it is a country which will give them a warm welcome, providing them with housing and the chance to make money. Their motives for crossing the Channel are precisely the same as those motivating the people trying to enter the United States from Mexico. There is a downside to this, though, for the citizens of the countries which are the targets of these invasions, and that is this. The illegal immigrants are seeking a better standard of living, but in giving it to them, then the standard of living in Britain and America is inevitably diminished in the process. To give 2 examples, health and housing, the fact that hospitals are now full of foreigners seeking medical treatment means that it's increasingly difficult for British people to get treated in hospitals. It means that you'll have more trouble getting to a GP. For housing, it means the loss of the British countryside and the increasingly awful crowding in built-up areas. Readers might have heard that the laws on planning proposals for new developments on green belt land and the rest of the countryside are underway. The reason is very simple. All those men who are not satisfied with living in Folkestone's Napier barracks will have to have houses somewhere. And since the towns and cities are full, then this means building on the countryside. What I find really extraordinary is that nobody will ever say any of this out loud. You will never hear immigration being cited as a reason for relaxing the planning laws and building on green fields, any more than you will hear undocumented migrants mentioned when people tell us that the NHS is under strain. Anybody who's attended a casualty department in the last few years, though, will know that it's rare to see English people there. It is, I think, time to start talking about such matters openly.